Hey guys, this is the fourth video in the Great Spiritual Awakening series. Today we're going to learn why we experience reincarnation. This video has 4 parts. First, I want to talk about why God is not the reason we experience reincarnation. Second, we will take a deeper look at the soul, and this will give us the answer to why we experience reincarnation. Third, we'll learn why it doesn't make sense to believe in reincarnation and the idea of heaven and hell. And fourth, we will learn whether animals can reincarnate into humans. Now let's begin. Part 1. Many people say that God is the reason we experience reincarnation. They say that God is making us experience reincarnation. However, I don't believe this is the correct answer. I believe there is a much better explanation for reincarnation. Allow me to explain. Why do apples fall down to the earth? Why don't they fly upward? Well, we could say God is the reason apples fall downward, but there is a much better explanation. It's called gravity. Gravity causes objects, such as apples, to fall toward the surface of the earth. Why does it rain? Well, we could say God is the reason it rains, but there is a much better explanation. You see, the water from the oceans, lakes, and other places turns into vapor and it travels up into the clouds. Though clouds are made of water droplets, they release some water droplets when there's too much water droplets in the clouds. This is why it rains. We can say God is the answer to everything, but that doesn't really give us a deep understanding of the world around us. Isaac Newton didn't say God is the reason apples fall to the ground. He kept searching for the answer until he discovered gravity. If everyone simply accepted that God was the answer to everything, then we wouldn't really understand anything. We wouldn't have made any discoveries. We would know very little about the world. This is the reason why I say that God is not the explanation for reincarnation. There is a much better answer to the question, but if we accept the idea that God is the answer to reincarnation, then we won't discover the real reason why we experience reincarnation. Part 2. For many years, countless spiritual teachers have said, there is a part of us that is not made of particles. I'm talking about the soul. According to many wise spiritual teachers, the soul cannot be created and it cannot be destroyed. This makes sense. If the soul isn't made of particles, then bullets can't destroy it and explosions can't destroy it either. Nothing can destroy it. Similarly, if it's not made of particles, then you can't create it using wood or rocks or metal. Nothing can create it. This is the reason we experience reincarnation. Allow me to explain further. Meet Kenny. Kenny died of a heart attack at the age of 60, but Kenny's soul continued to exist. Now meet Mary. Mary is pregnant, but here's the thing. She can't create the soul because the soul cannot be created at all. So how is the fetus that's living inside her going to get a soul? The answer is through reincarnation. Think about supply and demand. The fetus needs a soul, that's the demand. The soul of Kenny is the supply. Pregnant moms need the ingredient called the soul to make babies. Without reincarnation, life would not continue to exist. A pregnant mother needs the ingredient called the soul to have a baby, but the mother cannot make this ingredient, and the father cannot make this ingredient. The ingredient cannot be made at all, so it must come from someone who has died. This is the reason we experience reincarnation. Without reincarnation, life would cease to exist. The end of one life is connected to the beginning of a new life. One family mourns for the loss of a family member, while another family celebrates the birth of a family member. Both of these events are connected to one another through reincarnation. The loved one that passed away was a gift to one family, but this family cannot keep this gift forever. The soul moves on and becomes a gift to another family. In other words, we share our gifts with one another. Part 3. Some people believe in reincarnation and the idea of heaven and hell. They believe that once a soul gets to heaven, that soul has the option to stay in heaven forever or to experience reincarnation. But this idea doesn't make much sense. Here's why. According to many people, heaven is the greatest thing anyone can ever experience. Those in heaven don't pay bills. They don't pay electricity bills. They don't pay heating bills. They don't pay for gas or diesel. They don't take medications, and they don't have surgeries. They don't have any problems to worry about. They just experience bliss forever. Why would anyone give up heaven to experience life again? The idea that a soul would choose reincarnation over heaven makes even less sense when you take hell into consideration. For instance, imagine Bob died and he went to heaven, but then he rejected heaven to experience reincarnation. He reincarnated into an atheist family, and his new name was Steve. Steve never believed in God, and he died an atheist, which means he's going to hell. Do you see the problem? Why would Bob decide to give up a place in heaven and experience life again, knowing there is a possibility that he may never come back to heaven? It doesn't make sense. Now let's say Kenny died and went to heaven, and he doesn't want to experience life again. He just wants to stay in heaven forever. Now how will Mary have a baby? She needs the ingredient called the soul to make a baby, but all the souls are going to heaven and hell, and they are all staying in heaven and hell forever. We have demand, but we don't have any supply, which means no mother on earth can have a baby. But the reality is, mothers do have babies. This indicates that reincarnation is real, and it indicates that heaven and hell don't exist. If all the souls went to heaven and hell, then the human population would significantly decrease in a short period. What's more, humans would go extinct within 200 years. But that's not what's going on. According to data on the human population, there were about 1 billion humans in the 1800s, but now there's about 8 billion humans. This means the human population has increased by 8 times in a 200-year time span. I know heaven and hell are very important topics to many people, so we will learn more about them in future videos. But for now, let's move on. Part 4. We just learned that the human population went from 1 billion to 8 billion in a 200-year time span. But how is that possible? If only humans died and reincarnated as humans again and again, then the human population should stay at about 1 billion. The significant increase in humans indicates that animals that aren't humans have died and reincarnated as humans. You cannot increase a population without adding souls to the population. The souls have to come from somewhere, but the souls cannot be created. So, the souls must come from animals. Animals can reincarnate from one species to another species, and it's far more common than you think. Let's say you have a certain group of turtles, but these turtles are decreasing in population and they are quickly going extinct. That means when the turtle dies, it cannot reincarnate as the same species of turtle because the group of turtles are going extinct. So, it has to reincarnate into a different species. That's the only option. Similarly, if a certain group of rabbits are significantly increasing in population, then that means other animals are reincarnating as rabbits. That's the only way you can significantly increase a population. There's a problem that's going on in nature. We, human beings, are destroying wildlife very quickly. Many say that we are in the midst of a 6th mass extinction. At the same time, we are significantly increasing the number of farm animals because the demand for meat, dairy, and eggs is going up. Now think about that. Wild animal populations are quickly declining. By contrast, farm animals are quickly multiplying, which means wild animals are being forced to reincarnate as farm animals. Look at what the farm animals go through. They are living in hell. We are forcing souls to experience hell. But I think it's time for us to wake up. In a future video, I will explain how reincarnation works. This is far more interesting and complicated than you may think. But if you're truly interested in understanding yourself, then be sure to subscribe with notifications on, and don't forget to like this video. Hey guys, if you're looking for a thought-provoking spiritual book, check out The Great Spiritual Awakening. The link is in the description. And in the next video, we will learn about why we shouldn't seek pleasure when we're seeking the truth. Click on the thumbnail to watch the video. And last but not least, have an amazing, wonderful day.